kind of pressing to start off with, and then something that I'll post online, for people to peruse at their leisure. But one of the underlying themes since last week has been to get people coalesced like we are now, and to get people matched. So in that light, like Silver was saying before with the musical groups and such, right now, if people are willing and are up for it, we've got a job that we can be working on right now, and that's whoever wants to be involved in helping out these local artists with putting their music to the images that we already have. That's something that we can.
I think all we need to do is just get them to submit MP3s to us, and we can have a bank somewhere and just say these are all things that we have permission to use, and we don't really need to work with artists any more than getting them to send us their MP3s.
Right, and they're in the process of doing that, and Bill from Flip Scripts is putting together like a standard list of what their requirements are. And, it goes without saying that I really don't think anybody in this group or the group from last night is going to take their material and turn it into something that they can sell. And that is the only hurdle that I've heard Bill bring up. And so once he gets all that down on paper and we can post those guidelines up, what Silver said is exactly right. We've got the material, we'll have the music. So it's just a question of identifying who wants to take it on and then communicate with them to let them know that that's what's happening. Other than that, after this meeting tonight, I'd highly suggest that we review who we've talked to, who's expressed an interest to do what, and start working with them. Start making your plans on, well, this is how I'm going to videotape things. Up on the net, I put up like a suggested team structure that should address a lot of concerns. And Whitney actually broke it down a little bit further to make it really logical. But in a nutshell, a typical video team would consist of the primary videographer, a still photographer, if needed, somebody to record audio, and optimally have a second video camera that kind of acts as God, so that if something happens, if something goes south, be it the police breaking out the batons and pepper spray, we'll have a complete back view of the whole thing to address the mainstream media and what they may or may not shoot and re-edit and put up. Every time that there is a media interview, there should be one of us in the background filming the entire thing. That way, if our media monitors catch something either on the news or on the web where it's obvious they cut something up, we can immediately turn around and go, no, this is exactly what happened. And again, it also addresses safety, because it's no secret that if you have a camera in your hand and Johnny Law sees you, more than likely you're a target. So the more of you working together, the better. Does that make sense?
I'll get with Bill and talk to him about getting the MP3s. I'll just have him send them to our media Gmail group, and then I've got a DivShare account with space on it, or maybe I'll even create a new one, because I think you get 5 gigs for free, which is a lot of music. So I'll create one with our Gmail account and start putting them in there, and I will password protect it so only people in the media group can even access those songs.
And I'll email you the song that he's already sent me.
Okay, great.
So that could be something that the media group can cross off the list and say we're working on it,
okay.
Which is awesome.
Then I'll post it to the media page saying that this is done, and contact someone in the media group for password. So.
Yep, exactly.
All right, good.
Back to forming teams and such. These are some known issues that just around the roundtable and General Assembly meetings that we've already identified that we know should have media coverage. All of the General Assembly meetings, anytime we see a lecture or a guest speaker come in, once that starts to happen, if you see street musicians and such out on the street doing their thing, by all means get them there, because we want to capture every aspect of what's happening. And also general crowd, both inside, meaning us, in the occupation, and if you can do it without being obvious, what's happening on the periphery, getting crowd or reactions from people on the street, and people coming in and engaging the pathfinders and such.
I also think it's really important to video the work groups like we're doing here, and we have to reach out to the other work groups and offer them camera people that are willing to film their meetings. And also having someone from the media group attend their meetings will also facilitate them communicating with us through that camera person who comes back and may share the information they've learned at this work groups.
One point to directly respond that I think that we need to be working specifically with other working groups on is this tactic of nonviolence. As we were talking about outside, a few of us, there's an enormous difference between believing in nonviolence and espousing philosophies of nonviolence and still being able to restrain yourself when somebody's physically attacking you, as the police tend to have been doing in response to these movements. And we need, I think, to do our part in disseminating information that will help people maintain their cool and adhere to the philosophies of nonviolence that they've been espousing. I know that there's been a debate about whether or not we're adopting nonviolence as a whole. I feel like the vast majority of people involved with this are in favor of a nonviolent pathology. And that takes a lot more than just simply saying I'm nonviolent. I mean, because when it comes down to the moment of you being attacked, it's going to take a lot of self-discipline to lie down and to not fight back. And information, as is the undertaking of the media group, can have a lot to do in facilitating a nonviolent approach to being brutalized by the police.
That's something we probably also have to do with outreach and education too. We need to all come together.
Right, as I said, different groups interworking. It's definitely not just a media working group undertaking, but something that should be kind of attacked from all sides internally.
And just because I won't necessarily always be around, I know there was a woman at Sunday's gathering who was connecting with somebody who was, it may have been the education committee, but I'm not sure who it was. It might have been an individual, indicating that she had training and experience and was willing to do nonviolent, preparation stuff. And I know that the Peace Education Center has access to a large pool of people who have that training and experience and can be on an ongoing basis facilitative of, constant, there's going to be new people constantly coming to repeatedly offer, nonviolent orientation and explanation and preparation, and also consensus explanations. What is this? You're doing it how? you what? They've never come across it before. So both of those are something that I think the movement would benefit from on an ongoing basis, having constantly updated and informational. It doesn't have to be long, big, huge, but the more people get exposed to that which is new and outside of their normal life experiences, the more prepared we'll be for the best outcomes.
Yeah, I forgot about that woman who said she wanted to head up the nonviolence group, so that's something to work with too.
And if unfortunately there's no way to single her out and call her up or whatever, so maybe we could just say, hey, whoever on the Facebook page, whoever spoke up about blah, 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 contact this group, or whoever, but,
I think something to be said for that too is that before the General Assembly, well, especially this last, the Thursday General Assembly that's gonna happen before the actual occupation on Saturday. There should be people there that we saw, that, that feel called to be peacekeepers, and there can be like set peacekeepers, and, I've talked to this woman from the Richmond Peace Education Center, and asked her about helping finding some of those. And what happened in Boston, these last couple days, where if you watch the major media outlets, it's just like 70-year-old man gets attacked by police brutality, but like what really happened was they split up their forces and they had a permit for one park, and then the second half of them went to another park, and they it was preventable, like they split their forces, their resources, and their people, and then that second group got attacked, or some agitation happened between the police and the people, and then the Veterans for Peace like fought back, and then so you see these like old men being attacked on the, the media is just very sensational, but we should have people who are established as peacekeepers for the big events, I think.
And a lot of that comes to working with the police, but also their union. I don't know if there's a police union around here. That's going to be key because a lot of unions are jumping on board this movement, and if their union's on board, then by default, a lot of them are going to be on board with us, and they're going to be less likely to confront someone that they support versus someone that they see as a threat to them. So.
Now, I think I agree with you to a degree. Just because there is so much divisiveness over, should we contact the police for FAQs? Should we, find out from the horse's mouth, no, the police are this, the police are that? Well, there's a good side and bad side to that. So if we have some kind of relationship with them, maybe it shouldn't be advertised or whatever.
Right.
But even then, that can be taken as, oh, now we're hiding something. So, it's just any time that you
Transparency always is best.
Well,
in the larger context, it would seem like it's a better idea if we do at least address them to the degree to say, what's your advice about what we're doing? How do we avoid ending up in your crosshairs? And then at the very least, what that does is at least provides us some response. Should something happen, we can always say, well, we contacted the police.
Right.
That's what we did.
Right.
And we're trying to do this responsibly.
And should we decide to cross the legal boundary, we do so consciously.
We know exactly what we're doing.
Exactly, and that kind of overrides my concern about, should we get involved and how is it going to look for people from the inside? But, like you said, it would be to our advantage to at least get something from them, so that
We've
if they go back on
we've
their-
already got material and had contact with them, right?
It hasn't been put out yet.
Yeah, Shaggy.
But I think he's stepped down because his Facebook, I know, got like bombarded with people and some really
Oh,
hateful
maybe
things. So-
that's what the contention was the other night, Sunday, when we started having the question about tactics of nonviolence and stuff. I think he was asking if it was all right for him to pursue this, so maybe he has
He
stopped.
also just wanted to be put on the agenda to be able to speak about what he's done so far, and the situation got so out of hand so quickly with the discussion on whether or not what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I know that he's stepped down. I don't know if someone can reach out to him personally and see if he can just pass along the information that he's already gotten.
Yeah.
I think I read in a Google email somewhere that he might have passed it along to someone. I
Yeah,
just don't know
I
who
think
that
I saw it.
person is.
Yeah, 'cause I
Do's and
read the
don'ts.
whole thing. It's like, oh man, this information is golden. And then he said, oh, well, it'll be up on the net. So I gave the handout back. I said, oh, well, I can just download it later, but I haven't seen it since. But no, I've been looking at different locations for FAQs for that specific reason, and I've gotten them from New York. And from other places, but I want something that came from a Richmond cop's mouth, because the statutes in Richmond are a lot different than they are in New York or in Boston.
I think it would be difficult to have another contact person reach them too, because not only it's going to make us look unorganized, it's going to make us look like,
Somebody's in contact with the police, because the last phone call where I got this address from Josh said that there had been a contact since the last meeting, and was indicating advice that was coming from the police, that at this point they're not,
in sending a
pulling
threat.
pulling their ranks together and preparing the Gestapo to come out just as soon as we show our heads. That's not, and my reaction to it was, that's all well and good, but you know, that's one particular officer saying one particular thing and may or may not represent a larger thing, but at least in this instance, contact has benefit. And I, you know, on the issue of are people going to criticize, there's always somebody going to criticize, whatever action is taken or whatever action isn't taken. If you don't do anything, you're going to be criticized for not doing anything. If you do something, what you have to have is clear intentions of service and benefit for the whole of it. And if it's of significant importance, then the larger group will discuss and consent on it. You know, the work groups is a perfect example. I remember, you know, running into her and, well, we don't know whether we have permission to do work groups before Sunday's assembly. And when it came time for Sunday's assembly, there was no formal consenting, let's have these work groups. But the whole group said, let's break into work groups. And it went forward. But before that, Megan didn't feel like should we even have these work groups? And when you second guess yourself, a bank account is going to be needed. A bank account was needed last week. There were people at Sunday's rally that I turned out who wanted to donate. Where did they donate to? How are we going to deal with that? Somebody's going to have to say, you know what, I'm comfortable enough. You want to put the crosshairs on and kick my ass and complain and accuse or whatever, then do it. But I'm doing this and I'm going to set it up in a fail-safe and transparent way. If you don't like it, make a better suggestion and we'll go forward in that direction. Don't stop doing because people are going to criticize or you think you might be. Do what you think needs to be done and bring it back to the larger group, and if they want to change it in a new direction, so be it.
I know this is not General Assembly and this is the media meeting, but since we are talking about issues of peacekeeping and law enforcement and nonviolence and reaching out to police officers and going into finances, just like two brief updates about both those things. As far as the legal thing goes, there's an individual, Chris Dorsey, I don't know if you guys remember him from the very first meeting in Monroe. So, I spent several hours talking with Chris Dorsey yesterday, and he is, for all things considered, the most knowledgeable person about first and last names and facts and divisions and departments and the workings of the city for the last 2 decades. Who pays who and like everything. It's very, that's all I'll say about Chris Dorsey. Anyways, Chris Dorsey, I really think about going, what you just said, Alan, that transparency is the most important thing from the very beginning. And that if you have clear intentions and you do something and people are going to dislike it or you bring back to the group, as long as you're totally transparent with it from the beginning, then what can they hold it against you? And so, so just to tell all of you about the financial thing, David, I don't know if you guys know David. David is, he has white hair and glasses, and he is a priest.
Oh, yeah.
And he works with Farm to Family out in Mechanicsville. But anyways, David is opening a credit union account tomorrow, hopefully. And we've already had people like drop off like $50 gift cards and like to people on campus, and like this is getting, so we just have to start something as soon as possible, and then from there move on to like creating a 501, and we can have something, you know, if we should choose to go in that direction.
18 months down the road.
18 months down the road. But because we will occupy as long as it takes. But Chris Dorsey reached out to, I want to say his name is Captain Smith. That sounds so funny, but it's like William Smith or something. He's the head of the Richmond Police Department Special Events Unit, Special Events, and and the captain is very peaceable and has no problems with people exercising their rights as a citizen to as long as they are lawful. And we will not be breaking any laws until we reach critical mass, and then we can practice civil disobedience. But in a time where our population is still growing, right now, I as an individual want to go to the Richmond Police Department and introduce myself and just say my face. And I'm not speaking for the 99 or attempting to look disorganized. I am just one person, and I will probably face these people, look them in the eye again in the coming months, and I'd just like to introduce them, just to see their face before I'm like seeing their face like that, you know?
You remember this face.
Like, look at how innocent I am. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I'm trying to make goodwill because, you know, I don't see any difference between you and me with the uniform, even though I know a lot of people do, but I see us all as 99. But regardless, we're gonna occupy, so, yeah, I don't think that can't come to any harm. But that's all the news.
Do we have anybody monitoring, as of right now, do we have anybody monitoring mainstream media and what's going on as far as media coming out from the other Occupy movements?
I don't believe so. I think what we had discussed at last night's meeting was that it's on an individual basis, doing as much research as you can, reading as much as you can, seeing as much as you can. And I know that Bob and I have been doing a lot of research and watching as much as we humanly can. And I know that there's a few things I'll be looking up saying. Like, I do know Obama discussed some things about Occupy Wall Street, which I think is really important, and we should know something about that. So I think it's just on a case-by-case basis, and that's something we might have to deal with at a later date, because I don't even know if that's going to be an issue when we get the ball rolling.
Right. I was just thinking more from the standpoint of, as the media group, kind of almost looking for like a best practices. Mm-hmm. Looking at the other Occupy movements, the things that are picking up in the media, what are picking up, mm-hmm. and being able to kind of zero in on this works, so we can repeat this here, and this is what we need to do that. But yeah, I mean,
I think it would be great if we had a person that was willing to dedicate whatever time to just doing that. That would be amazing. I don't know if there's anyone here that's willing to do that. Is there anyone here that's willing to kind of be the eyes of everything that's going on?
But for the first few weeks or so, I can do that. Like right now, on a personal note, I'm like in the middle of a huge international project that I am trying so hard to kick out the door. But I had a production meeting today, and they just added 2 more weeks worth of crap on top of it. So the way that I'm looking at it is I'm changing my physical residence to wherever we're occupying, and there might be times where I have to go to the office, but when I go home, it'll be with you guys. So I'll have access to the TV and the net uninterrupted and such, and can certainly keep an eye on things and start making contact with other media groups as we progress to tell them this is what we're doing. Are we doing it right? I noticed you did this here. How did that work out for you? And we should have a couple of people that are already doing that right now, but just haven't spoken up.
Yeah, I've been monitoring a lot of media outlets. It seems that the local media is very positive, almost universally.
Right.
It's one of those things that individual small towns are coming forward and they're doing their thing. Right. Like I was saying, when there was only 2 or 3 of us a week ago, there was only 70 cities. Now there's 250 cities that have joined in. Right. So it's huge now. 100 countries, 6 continents. But yes.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful.
As I said earlier, I have contact with a guy out of Sacramento who is trying to put together a network of point of contacts for, just like one person from every media subcommittee in every Occupy movement. Mm-hmm. And I haven't heard back from him, but as soon as I do, I will keep you all informed of that. I think it's more important that we take our cues as for what's effective from independent media sources as opposed to mainstream media sources that are covering these movements, and that we can relate to these people on an individual basis without going through, the kind of convoluted networks of information that end up dumping things into our lap because of sponsorship or whatever.
Believe me, given the volume of Occupy movements going around, non-traditional media and mainline media are going to be looking for the oddball stories.
Yes.
Right.
And the capital of the Confederacy is definitely a shtick for us to exploit. We need to have an assembly underneath the feet of Robert E. Lee, just like they conspired for the Underground Railroad and abolitionism in the corner taverns, out of sight, underneath the feet of all those people up on giant pedestals of power and political and economic and all the rest of it, and it all came tumbling down underneath the feet on the ground, life-size, not bigger than life, and on huge power pedestals. it can be done. We can play that, we can play Patrick Henry, we can play and get, because of what Richmond is and the history that happened here, create a new history out of the Confederacy of the ordinary people. And it's something that's really, really going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, we have what nobody else has.
Um,
I'm just running through some ideas in my head. And
Oh,
I'll, and I'll
just
put these
once
up,
it
and
starts,
it's like,
once
oh,
it
we
starts,
could
it's just
have
like, oh
all
yeah.
sorts of very pertinent and public spectacles, like they're doing in New York. But down here, instead of having people dressed up like zombies eating Monopoly money, why not have 2 or 3 slave families hanging out right underneath one of those monuments saying, why are you trying to put us back in these chains again?
There you go. I mean, it's endless. I mean, it's only as the number. It's only limited by our imagination, and it's real. I mean, these are the realities that we as citizens of Richmond own. We own that history. They don't. We do, and we have a right to transform it into liberating history. Because the more people know about what went wrong, and then and now, the better chance we have of breaking the shackles. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Well, that's something that I think we can probably work pretty well with the education team with, because if we can put together, I mean, the history of just the city of Richmond itself is incredibly interesting, and the degree to which economics plays directly into that history is something that we can use, and if we're, as the media team, if we're kind of documenting that, that's something we can disseminate. And that will, not only help bring more Richmonders and general Richmond area people to us, but it also helps occupy in a larger sense.
Well, why don't we put a proposal right to the education group? This is what we're thinking. Can you provide us with the written material for it? And when it comes time for them to come to us for videographers, photographers, or whatever, they've got it. But that's a perfect jump start, maybe, to get that working group going.
Okay.
On top of the whole revolutionary movement and everything that happened down here, well, I guess the Civil War, not revolutionary, didn't we also have Benjamin Franklin in this area? I mean, I'm a New Yorker. I know more about New York than
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry.
Right down the block.
Yeah.
I think that's something we can also get into when it comes to like the writing of the Declaration of Independence and all of that stuff. Like it's our rights that are being violated
Right.
here.
Right.
So I
We're
think that's
saying the
another
same
we
thing
can
that
get
the
into.
colonials said about the king.
Right, and there's even, there's modern history, the history of Jackson Ward, that kind of stuff that relates really directly to what's going on with us, and that kind of stuff. If we can draw on that and we can disseminate that, it'll serve a couple of different purposes. One is that it does help with outreach and attraction, but it will also, one of the big criticisms about Occupy right now is essentially that we're these kind of like harebrained, scattered, kids who don't know what's going on. It's like, no, we understand what's happening here. We understand the history of what we're addressing. And this is, because I think we should start thinking about the people that we're not reaching. Because right now who we've got is who we've got, and those are the people who are connected to ideas related to this kind of stuff. But there's a whole, where I work, they have no idea what this is. They have no idea what it's about. They have no idea what's going on. And what they're being told is not, it's just, not even that it's not fact, it's just not even, like, it's just air. There's no substance, there's no nothing. So, and we have the opportunity, I think, especially as, like, the media people, to grab hold of that and start driving that, at least for the Richmond area. So,
I think that's something we can work together with the education and something we can work on with the welcome committee as well,
it's a good problem.
and outreach, obviously. So, and yeah, we were also discussing putting together a bulletin board system at the last night's meeting, and we would also be working with the education system and the welcome committee as well, just to get leaflets and stuff like that up there and all that. So that's a really good way for new people to join and get involved or get information. And it's also a good way for organizations, nonprofit organizations and stuff, to be able to put up leaflets and stuff and get information in return from us
Right.
and stuff like that. That could be another way we could go about doing that.
Outreach is very real. What you were talking about, the need for that is, like, that is very pressing on me. And I would love to just speak to people in the streets about this, because that is the most revolutionary conversation you'll ever have. And I don't know about you guys, but like today I was driving down the street and I was like looking at the bus stop, and I always just drive by the bus stop because I guess it's kind of awkward. But I was like looking at all these people at the bus stop, like I was really looking at them, and they still wouldn't really look at me. But it's made me look at things about people in the street a little bit differently. This whole thing has. And so about us, about media. This is the mouthpiece. I mean, you guys are professionals, and I'm sure that you know the gravity of what you're taking on, being the mouthpiece of the 99. Not the mouthpiece, but you guys are what disseminates this. And so neutrality is something that I came into this, and I was really like feigning this neutral thing, and the 99 doesn't have an agenda, and not one of us has an agenda. This is like, we're all coming together in common ground. But the reality is we're all these different individual agendas, right? And so about what we were talking about with the history of the city and the unique position we are at in 2011 in the former capital's Confederacy's capital, we have to be really careful how we go about this. Or basically you just have to look into your own heart and know what your own personal agenda is, because we definitely have some serious scars in the city. And I definitely think that in this process, which might even be more important than the outcome, in this process of this city, of us all coming together and doing this project of occupying, we have to really think long and hard about what we want to dig up and engage in, and what our real agenda is as the 99, because there's a possibility of being under statues and being back in the Civil War and being back in this Confederate. The thing that we're all stuck with, the thing that is cemented in those statues, the thing that is the scars of the city, we can get distracted by that, and we can lose sight of, like, if I was in the top of the Federal Reserve building, I wouldn't want this to be about statues, I wouldn't want this to be about my Wall Street, So I really want to work towards healing of this city, and maybe that is even more important than cutting the head off the dragon. But if we are going to do this in solidarity with occupying Wall Street and stuff, we should use the history of this city that we're going to work through together in this, and celebrate and call out in the media and all that stuff as not a means to an end, but we have to keep the bigger picture in mind too, and whatever that is for yourself and your own heart, you have to determine before you go into this.
It absolutely has to be tied into the larger current reality of this growing movement. And so when you go, like the Underground Railroaders and the abolitionists did, underneath the feet of those in power, and you achieve your goals by dogged determination, no matter how long, no matter how, I may go to my grave, but my children will see this through, with that kind of long-term determination. And you claim their original, you claim Patrick Henry, and you call out today just as he called out. That's the way to tie it to now and to Wall Street, is that, Patrick Henry called out whatever, Downing Street or whatever it is. We're calling out Wall Street as oppressors of the people of this land. And,
I think the other question and the other part of Richmond's history is there can be, we can tap into a really good thing for the Occupy movement as a whole, which is how long are we going to let them continue to keep us divided,
right,
so that they keep living off of
the only
living off
danger,
of
the only danger, and it needs to be front and foremost, is unforeseen consequences. You know, on one level, I said, you know, part of me says hurrah to a family, you know, and change, you know, the sign saying, you know, I don't. That could be just the absolute wrong thing. You know, for some people who still have raw wounds and you know, dark deeds in their family's history, you know, that could be the very thing that sends them against us when they really belong with us. So we need to be sensitive and aware that, you know, and think it through and really do our best. If we fumble, we fumble. But I think that, you know, there's ways that we can not just tap the history, but tie it to, this is the same as what's happening right now. We need the same kind of determination. We need the same kind of approach. We need to call out in a similar fashion. You know, we don't have a Liberty Bell. We don't have where they met, you know, to craft the Constitution. But what we have is significant, and we need to tap the spirit of those things and make a new, an updated version of them. I've got stuff I need to go and do. I'm wondering, is there anything else particular to my function? Huh? Because I don't know how long, much longer this is going to go on, but I need to.
Anyone have any closing comments they'd like to make?
Well, the only closing comment that I would have is, until we get a really good, stable web forum up, please get on the Google group so we can, when we leave here, we can continue to talk with each other and hopefully have a few people actually coalesce into a team and start doing something. You know, it's right now, Silver has been busting his ass getting stuff up on YouTube and such, and Whitney and I have been in the background trying to get all this other stuff coalesced and together. And, you know, I'm not saying, you know, that we're tooting horns or anything. Everybody is busy. We all have other lives that we have to attend to and such, but we only have, what, 3 or 4 more days left?
4.
So we have enough material that is up now, and once we get some more of the printed materials that we were talking about, to where conceivably after tomorrow or even tonight, people can go up on the web, snag a graphic, snag our standard bookends so that everything looks the same for our contacts, and just do it. So, and we're at the point now where we can just do it. So let's just start doing it.
To piggyback on that,
How do we get, if we're wanting to pass people on, how do we get into where's the Google group?
The Google group, if you haven't gotten an email from me, then that means I didn't have your name on the original mailing list. So write your emails down, and if you haven't already had one in your inbox, you'll have one tonight. And actually, it's good that I have a group here to get your input on this. What I've been doing so far just to get people in and to keep the momentum going, anybody who is part of the Google group, I'm making you a manager. So that if somebody contacts you to get on the Google group, they don't have to go through me or anybody else. Let me shoot you an email and I'll bring you right in. The only problem with that is eventually we're going to get so big that we don't know who we're letting in. And you brought up a really good concern about keeping passwords protected for the email account and the YouTube account. But until we can get the ball rolling and enough people actually up there and talking, you know, I'm just sending out invites to people who said they want to get on board. And you in turn will be infected. It's kind of like turning into a zombie. I've made you a Google zombie, and so now you can go and bite other folks. So let's just get up there, start talking, and start working.
yeah, we all have Facebook pages. We can share this event with people every single day. If you friend me, I can send you a hacker code that will allow you to select every single one of your friends and invite them with one click and maybe a captcha to the event of the occupation thing. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'll share that.
You've got an invite
for
for
a job.
If anybody needs assistance with anything from this group, I am willing to help wherever and whenever possible. I have Thursday and Friday off before this happens, and those 2 days I am yours. Utilize me. If you have errands that need to be run, I will run your
I'm gonna say
errands.
no
I don't
opinions.
care. Anything you need, I'm here. Like, get a hold of me. Whatever.
Can we go around one more time and say our names? Because I heard your names, but I forgot a lot of them. But that'd be helpful for me. My name's Silver.
My name is Bob.
Katie.
Alan,
Brianna.
Megan.
Preston.
Stacy.
Tony.
Alex.
John.
Thank you.
I'll send another. And if it says you already have it, it'll.
That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, my dog
it's all right.